In late June of this year, Chief Judge of the 21st Judicial District Court, Blair Edwards, officially announced the introduction of a new judicial division designated as Division L. This announcement was prompted due to the rising caseload faced by courts within Tangipahoa, Livingston, and St. Helena parishes. The newly formed Division L will primarily handle juvenile cases across all three parishes and will oversee criminal documents specifically in Livingston and Tangipahoa parishes. We have one of the candidates for judge in the newly formed Division L here with us today to speak with us on why she is running and what we can look forward to with her in the judge's seat. So with that, I want to welcome Lindonmagee to Local Leaders. And you go by Lindy, correct?
That's right. And thanks so much for having me today.
Well, I'm excited to talk to you. This is a very interesting subject. And let me just say this on your name. I have a thing with unique names. Lindon is a very unique name. Obviously, Lindy, also unique. I always tell people call me Jim, but my actual birth name is James. And usually if somebody calls me James, I'm in trouble. It's usually my wife yelling at me or my mom yelling at me, one of the two. So,
exactly.
So we're going to call you Lindy today.
Oh, okay, good. So I'm not in trouble yet?
You're not in trouble. Okay, so we're, interesting stuff has been happening in the 21st Judicial, which sparked Division L. And tell us a little bit about that.
Well, honestly, our caseload has just grown tremendously. I mean, of course, we all see the population growth that we've been facing.
Yeah.
So with that, we have a rise in cases, of course.
Right.
And our judges are just overloaded.
Right.
That's actually why for the past few years, I've been working as a staff attorney with our judges because of the need to help that case overload. So I've been assisting with that in that capacity for the past few years.
Wow, very good. With this particular division, it's going to be primarily focusing on juvenile courts?
Right. Well, initially, it is set up to handle 20% of our juvenile cases in Livingston here and then also in Tangipahoa.
I see. Very good. And you are, no stranger to this area. You grew up in Strawberry City?
That's right. Born and raised.
Ponchatoula. And you graduated from Ponchatoula High School.
Yes.
And where did you go from there?
Well, after that, I went to Southeastern. I always joke and say my only regret about Southeastern is that they did not have a law school.
Right.
But I'm glad it made me venture out. From there, I went on to LSU Law.
Yeah.
And graduated there.
Here's the interesting thing about you. You were young graduating out of high school. Actually graduated a year early?
Yes, that's right.
Wow. Very good. Book smart. Very book smart, I can see. Tell us the story about you and your sister. We talked about this off camera.
My sister, we are very close, also a little bit competitive, just a tad.
Sure.
But I wanted to catch up with her.
Yeah.
So especially we both knew we wanted to go to law school. So she kind of held back a year, took some time at Southeastern, and I worked to catch up with her. I loaded my studies, took as many classes as I could to get as many hours in so that I could catch up with her, and then we were able to go to law school together. Awesome.
And you eventually graduate from law school. How was that experience? What was that like?
I loved it. It really, like you said, LSU, the campus itself is huge.
Yeah.
The law center, we were a very close-knit group. It was a great experience. Of course, LSU football.
Yes.
Just the relationships that you made there. It was really more like high school as far as just the connections made in that class.
Yeah, and it's in your case, it's a bunch of people that have an interest in the law and like a little family almost,
Right.
if you will. And that kind of leads me into my next question, and that is, what was it about the law? Because what I've just told all the listeners is, look, you are obviously very smart. You probably had your choice of what you wanted to do in life. You chose the law. Why?
My mom has always been my hero. Anything my mom did or anything she liked, I always wanted to do the same. When I was growing up, her favorite movie was always To Kill a Mockingbird.
Great movie.
At a young age, I was probably 6 or 7 watching it and fell in love with it and Atticus Finch. And I saw the law as a way to help people who may need it most. Not everyone has access to the justice system or to legal aid, and I saw that as a way that I could help people and help our community.
Very good. Great answer. And, little do some people know, I guess, but I had an interest in the law when I was like 14, 15. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want to do. I want to be a lawyer. But then I figured out you had to go to school for a long time. I'm like, I don't know if I want to go past my bachelor's for that long. So I ended up eventually being a podcaster. It was a good second step. But obviously you did a wonderful job there. And you're a mother too?
Yes.
Very good. You married?
Yes.
And something else about you that's interesting is that you've got a little hobby of what? What do you like to do in your spare time?
Anything outdoors, really. Hunting,
Yeah.
fishing, riding horses. I try my best to keep my boys outside as much as possible.
Right. Let's talk about your motivation to run for judge specifically. A lot of attorneys are completely happy attorneying. And so that, running for judge to them is something they just don't have an interest in doing. What gives you an interest in it?
Well, whenever I was at Southeastern, I worked at the DA's office as a victim's advocate and was in the courtroom a good bit in that role. And from where I sat, I saw that the judge was the one who controlled and was able to help where he could.
Yeah.
And from that moment, I fell in love with the role. Then through law school, I clerked for our judges in the 21st and got a more in-depth look at their role. And I just knew that was always what I would want to do.
Very good. And let's talk about your experience real quick. Something that you would obviously, if someone's looking to elect a judge, I'm sure, I would imagine, would want someone with a little bit of experience with the law. Tell us what you did.
Well, like I said, I was a victim's advocate, then I was a law clerk. Once I graduated, I litigated for about 7 years. I was a member of a larger firm in Hammond.
Yeah.
Then I also worked as a solo practitioner. I had my own business.
Oh, wow.
Ran that, saw the challenges, went through COVID with that, everything else.
Yeah. That's a whole different experience, isn't it?
Oh, my goodness, yes. Crash course, definitely, in
Absolutely.
business management.
Yeah, very good. And how long have you been an attorney, I guess?
10 years.
Okay. Yeah, good long time. How do you view that role of a judge? How would you answer that?
I feel like I feel like they take the law, and I think that the law is a beautiful thing. And I think that it's crafted to be interpreted and to allow your passion to kind of work into it.
Yeah.
And I feel like the judge is sitting there and they're able to take their life experiences and their work experiences and look at that together with the law and look at the cases before them and consider all of the evidence and make a just determination.
Yeah.
And I think that doing that, it is a heavy, heavy weight that is on those judges. But I also think that to do that correctly and fairly is so important to our society. And
absolutely.
That's, to me, the cornerstone, the foundation of our government. And to be able to do that and do that correctly is of the utmost importance to me.
Wow, I couldn't agree with that more, and it's a great answer to that question. Let me ask you, what do you see as the problems that need to be fixed in your area that you will be covering?
I honestly see where of course, we have our issues that we've always been faced with. What I'm noticing now and seeing a trend in is issues that I believe were contributed to by COVID.
Yeah.
You see lots of juvenile crime. You're seeing gangs arising in our areas. And to me, that is, you had children on the streets instead of in school.
Yeah.
I think that left a void there that was filled with things that just should not be there. And these children, I feel like, need someone there to let them know, hey, we're watching. We know what you're doing. You need to fix this before it becomes, of course it's a problem now, but they need to know, get this fixed. You can still make a change. It's not too late. Get back on the right path.
Yeah, I agree 100%. And that was a big, COVID, in my opinion, was a big contributor to the juvenile crime because these kids were their parents worked, so maybe they were home alone, or maybe their parents were home because it was COVID and some people didn't have a job to go to at that point. But it certainly idle minds can be a problem sometimes when you're young.
Exactly.
And sometimes when you're old, but really when you're young and you have nothing but time, that can be a problem. A major reason that this new division is being formed is because the caseloads, how backed up right now are they prior to this Division L?
Well, they have made strides to finally catch up from our COVID backload. Of course, we weren't having jury trials for quite a while.
Yeah.
So just that alone backed everything up. But our judges are phenomenal at working the best that they can and managing their caseloads. Like I said, I've done it. About 3 years ago is whenever I went to work for them as a staff attorney. And I've tried my best, of course, to prepare them and give them as much information about their cases and do the research to help them be able to manage that caseload. Yeah. And make those decisions on the bench as efficiently as possible.
Sure. And it's an important issue because, you know, everybody has, I guess, the right to a speedy trial, right? And so from that aspect, you need to be able to offer that. But also, you see a lot of cases and they finally get adjudicated. Mm-hmm. And by the time they're adjudicated, people are like, wait a minute, this happened in 2019 and it's 2024, you know, those kind of things.
We recently settled a flood case from 1983. It was a class action suit.
Wow.
It actually, I grew up hearing about the flood of 83. My grandparents flooded. My dad tells the story about them floating out of the house, very similar to, to what we, yes. And at this point, as it's settling, my grandparents were some of the claimants, and you're looking at, both of them are now deceased, and you've got their children now getting the proceeds. It's just crazy how long some things can lag on.
Yeah, it really is. And I have another podcast that I do where we cover the crime headlines and just what's going on in the world of crime. And that is the most shocking thing to me is how, you know, the wheels of justice turn, but sometimes they turn very slow.
Yes.
And there's some cases where that's expected. Maybe there's a lot of moving parts to that. Adding this division should speed that up significantly, I would imagine.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the thing that's very unique about this division, and to me exciting about it, is it's built right now to initially handle the caseload that we discussed, but also in a few years there'll be the opportunity to convert to a general jurisdiction should that be the need of the district at that time.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And
I didn't
so
know that.
you can handle this caseload, but then down the road, you'll have an opportunity to look and see what we need, where we're hurting. I know it's on the horizon. Everyone is hoping that we'll get another solely juvenile judge. So at that point, it could shake things up a bit, and there may be more of a need for assistance in the civil divisions or in criminal, and you can make those adjustments.
100%. Very good. LSU football kicks off September 1st, and here in South Louisiana, that means backyard get-togethers on the patio with family and friends. It also means cleaning up that backyard with roll-off dumpsters. Now, they have sizes ranging from 15 yards all the way up to 30-yard dumpsters. If you need a dumpster for your construction site, for your home, Level Dumpsters has you covered. So give them a call at 225-310-6647 or on the web at leveldumpsters.com. And mention local leaders to get $100 off right now for new customers. Level Dumpsters is a verified partner of Local Leaders, the podcast. Tell me about the campaign trail. How's that been for you so far? And when did you announce?
I announced on July 19th, my dad's birthday.
Yeah, very good.
I told him that was his present.
Yeah. Hey, that's a good gift.
I had too much going on. Yes.
Gave you the best gift of all. So you announce and you're off on the campaign trail. How's that been?
It has been wonderful. I have really loved getting out there. I'm a big people person. I've loved meeting everyone, going to some of the more unique events in our parishes. Yeah. It has been very fun. My boys have also enjoyed tagging along some.
Yeah.
They get
learning.
Yes.
Yeah, learning. And how old are they?
4 and 6.
4 and 6, so they're learning early.
Oh,
that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Is the schedule tough? Is it kind of hard to keep up with? You know, you got to be here, you got to be there, and
it is. And I am extremely blessed. I have a wonderful support system. My parents, my husband, they are 100% behind me and assist in any way that they can.
And I'm gonna tell you, the support from your family is invaluable, as you know, and especially on campaign trails. It's so much work. I saw on your Facebook you have some stops upcoming, meet and greets, if you will.
Yes.
Do you have any of those offhand that you want to mention?
We'll be at the American Legion in La Ranger on Saturday afternoon.
Awesome.
Yes, I'm really looking forward to having everyone coming out to that and seeing the people, telling them about our campaign and how everything's going, answering their questions.
So you grew up in Ponchatoula and you live in La Ranger now.
Right. Well, I live just outside of La Ranger in Husser, but yes. And my husband, he's from La Ranger.
Yeah.
I pick on him. He keeps moving me further and further north. So I drew my line at Highway 16.
Let's shout out your website. I think that's important.
Yes.
So what's your website?
It is lindyforjudge.com.
Yeah, Lindy for Judge, and you have a Facebook.
Yes.
And I want her to wake up tomorrow and check that Facebook and have like 1,000 more likes, and that way she'll want to come on again and talk about it maybe in the future when it's a little closer. Let's talk about when it is. I guess that's important. Same day as the presidential election.
Yes, November 5th.
So you're going to get a turnout.
Oh, yes. And I just want to remind everyone, if you are able to early vote, because I can remember those lines from the last presidential election, and there will be a wait. So if possible, go ahead and get out and early vote.
Yeah, and it's 3 parishes, y'all. As I mentioned in the beginning, it's Tangi, Livingston, and St. Helena.
Yes.
So go out there and vote, show your support. If you want to learn more about Miss Lindy, you can check her out on Facebook, and she also has a website you can check out as well. I do want to mention this before we get out of here. This is your first kind of run at politics, I guess, or asking for votes for an office.
Yes.
First time.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Everything it's cracked up to be?
That has been the biggest challenge to me. I feel like if you are going in and saying, oh, I've done this, this, and this, I just feel like you're trying to, I don't know, brag in a way or something.
Yes.
So being pushed out and saying, hey, you got to remember, tell people what you've done, explain it. And that, it's
an adjustment.
Yes.
For people that are humble.
Right.
And so I get it 100%. And that just speaks to who you are. That's a good thing. If it's hard to get comfortable asking people for a vote or saying I'm so great at this or so great. I mean, that's weird to most people, right?
Exactly.
Except me. It's not weird to me. Is that weird? No, it is. It's totally weird to me. I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much. And honestly, guys, sincerely, I have my 2 little boys. My goal here is I want to help the community how I can. Yeah. And I see this as doing my part to keep this a place that I want my children to stay and grow. And when they get older, I don't want them to leave. I want them to stay, and I want to do my part to ensure that happens.
Amen to that. Couldn't say it any better. Thank everyone for listening, and we'll link all of Miss Lindy MaGee's information in the description of this podcast. And until next time, I'm Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Thank you very much.